Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students and dear viewers. Uh, this is Abid Bajwa, your English language instructor, and today we are going to learn about speech writing for O-level English language in CAI examination. Before we proceed with this video, I would like you to explain something. Please accept my apologies for being away for so many months, and I couldn't make any video regarding O-levels examination, but finally the good thing is that here I am. So in today's video we'll be talking about speech writing structures and features which are essential to score the maximum marks in O-level exams. And as you can see, the caption here is learn to score top grades in speech writing for O-level exams. So let's start with this video. Learning outcomes. We are going to define and explain speech with examples. We'll get to know what speech writing is and what are the do and do nots which are essential to score the maximum grades in English language exams. We'll also be discussing about the format and structure of speech, and we'll be explaining some features of speech writing as well as we'll also review a past paper from Cambridge International Examination writings. Before we go on, let me just choose a highlighter so that I can illustrate some essentials. So pointer option, I'll go and let me choose a highlighter for. So let's go. So what is the definition and purpose of speech? A speech is a formal or informal address which is delivered to an audience that seeks to convince, persuade, inspire, or inform. Speeches are to inform, share, support, or persuade specific audience on certain topics. So this is perhaps the best definition of speech writing that I could find from the dictionaries and from my study tables. When we talk about the best debaters or best speakers of the world, how can we forget Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's last sermon to the whole Ummah? And that is actually an excellent example of a marvelous speech. If you remember, our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his last sermon, his style was, he is actually an eloquent orator who truly depicts the essentials of speech writing, and this is from his teaching that still we have been able to learn a lot. So what he said, as God has made you one community, so be not divided. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab over an Arab, nor is a white man to be preferred to a black man, nor a black man to a white man. So this particular quote from the Prophet, peace be upon him, if you are a deep digger reader, you will be able to just to underline the message hidden inside. If you remember Martin Luther King, don't you think he said the same thing in his famous speech, I have a dream? So wait, we have Martin Luther King coming his. I have a dream by Martin Luther King is perhaps the best example after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's examples. And by the way, this speech of Martin Luther King has been quoted by so many teachers around the world. He says, I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Martin Luther King, juniors in 1963. So if you are a deep digger reader, you must have found the connection over here between the speech of Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Martin Luther King. The message underlying theme is perhaps the same, don't you think so? Moving on, Another example from US President Barack Obama's famous speech. The strongest weapon against hateful speech is not repression. It is actually more speech. So what I personally believe, words have the power, and this power is actually cannot be undermined. The power of the words is even more than any weapons acknowledged in the world. So let's move on to the topic. On your screen you can find a glimpse of 11/23 October-November 2018 paper, and as you can see that it says section 1 directed writing. You are advised to write between 200-300 words. As you can see that there are some squares, rectangles which have been bordered with red ink. So these are actually perhaps the most important thing that many of the O-level students forget. So make sure that whatever you are going to write in directed writing, it must be in between 200 and 300 words. And after that there is another important instruction. It says you will be awarded up to 15 marks for the following the task instructions, and you will be awarded up to 15 marks for the language you use. So this is another checkpoint that all the students must remember. So overall, as you have already read and you are well informed that there are actually 30 marks which are allocated for attempting this directed writing. 15 marks would come to you for the task fulfillment. In other words, you can say the 3 bullet points which are given, and then 15 marks are given to you on your performance based upon your vocabulary, your sentence structure, and other things. So what was the task, by the way, which was given in 11/23 October-November 2018 exam task? So I'm going to read it for you. It is your final week in school, and your teacher asks you to make a speech to the school assembly, about the event from your school life, which you always remember. It might be an academic memory, a school event, or any other event you wish. Now what you need to do, the examiner says that you need to write your speech, and you must note the point, must include the following. So these are the bullet points which I've been talking about, and they will give you marks, 15 marks, and as there are 3, you can see, so 5 marks are allocated for each bullet points. The first bullet point says when and where the event took place. Second says details of what happened, how the event affected you and other people. And dear students, at the bottom of the screen you can see that there is another rectangular box, and which is bordered by red ink, and it says that cover all 3 points above in detail. You should make your speech interesting and informative. Start your speech, good morning everyone. So to help you out to solve this particular piece of writing, I have shared a screen right now. As you can see that it says it would help you, what I think. So all you are going to do is to start your speech with speech marks. I request you to please note down these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes, 5 bubbles, which are in blue ink, and the text is written in white. The first bubble says speech marks. So make sure you are going to start your speech with inverted commas or speech marks, and we could call that this is a greeting perhaps. Good morning my dear fellows. So this is greeting. And the third one is introduction and purpose. Introduce yourself and state the purpose of the task of making this speech. You can use a hook, attention, grabber, or a quotation to attract the attention of your audience. Inform them about your intended purpose or opinion. So actually this will cover your bullet 1 as well, because it might or might not be given in one paragraph. In bullet 1, at this stage you can start explaining bullet points. Justify your first bullet point here. Use the starters like firstly or first of all to state your preferred choice about the given topic, and this bubble would be followed by bullet 2 and 3. Next paragraph, move on to the next bullet point and develop it through proper explanation. Discuss some opposing views of your opinion and then justify your choice. Your third paragraph would carry third bullet point. Again, state and explain the details which are instructed in the bullet points. In the conclusion part, you must thank your audience for listening to your point of concern. You must sum up the speech by persuading them to follow your preferred choice. Now in the upcoming pages, we are going to discuss some of the techniques, some of the tips that might help you to attempt this speech writing and directed writing part. So my famous mnemonic part, P-A-R-T. Take a very good care of your purpose. P, A is audience. You must know who your audience are or is. R is register, that is your language things, and T is the tone. I have talked volumes about this part thing in my previous videos. If you haven't seen those videos, watch those videos. I advise you to please go back and just browse my other videos, and you'll be able to find a detailed guideline about using the part things. Now get ready and write your speech. So first thing, as I told you earlier, is starting your speech with the speech marks. The first thing you should do is to start your speech writing with speech marks, or you can say the quotation marks. For example, you can see the commas included or the single commas. So the speech writing features number 1, greet and welcome to the audience. So whatever you just saw in the previous screens, now I'm going to explain all those things one by one. First is greet and welcome the audience. Remember, always begin with the greeting your audience. For example, good morning ladies and gentlemen, hello my dear friends, etc. Number 2, at this point you need to introduce yourself, who you are, what is your position. If you will be able to see the task that we are going to do now, so you will be able to justify who you are. You are a student, and in most of the cases, if I'm not wrong, and almost in all the tasks, whatever and whensoever it was given by the Cambridge, they assume that you are a student. So introduce yourself. Now you should introduce yourself before you come to your actual point or topic of concern. You can do this in the following way. My name is Peter and I am speaking on the behalf of my whole class of O levels. Number 3, state the purpose of speech. Explain what is your speech all about and why are you going to make a speech. You can do this in the following way. Today, I stand in front of you to share my opinion about the upcoming elections for head boy elections in our school. So see, there must be a quite visible link between your introduction and the purpose of the speech. Actually, both of these go hand in hand. Number 4, tone and language. Make sure while you are proceeding with your speech, you must not forget the particular tone and language you have to adopt. It must be in accordance with your role, your task, and your assignment that has been given to you by the examiner. You should adopt the language tone keeping in mind your audience. For instance, if you are addressing your age fellows, be informal and witty. And on the other instance, for example, if you are talking to the people of a village, for example, and you are talking to farmers, you can take the flexibility of being a bit informal, obviously. And in the same way, if you're talking to a company of educated people, try to be very formal. Number 5, include pauses, gestures and fillers, because we assume speech is not a written thing. Actually, it is a genre, or it is actually a formation of something spoken. So we can take the liberty of using some pauses, gestures and fillers. Speech is a genre, writing where you are allowed to use pauses, gestures and fillers during to give it a real touch, as if you are making speech in front of your audience. But make sure you use them sparingly though. Number 6. Express strong opinions and logical reasoning. Remember, you are to persuade audience stand by you for a specific purpose. So actually your purpose making a speech is just that you need a favor from their part. So to take that favor, you have to be prepared to present solid arguments, opinions and examples to convince to support your point of view. Because if you are weak on that part, you won't be able to to support yourself or to get their sympathies. Number 7. Include quotes and humor. Try not to give your speech a coloring of a lullaby, because you don't want your audience to fall asleep while you are making speech. So what you need to do, so include some humorous notes and puns to make it interesting and make them awake by the way. 8. Use variety of sentence structures. You are likely to pocket maximum marks if you would utilize a variety of sentence structures, refined vocabulary and outstanding expressions, because what I personally believe, this is the key factor that can win you the maximum marks in O-levels exams. Number 9. Justify all given bullet points properly. Dear audience, writing a good speech for CAI does not mean to be perfect in language skills. Remember, you have to justify, elaborate and explain all the given points as well as to score maximum for task fulfillment. I have seen people, I'm witness to so many of students who are perfect or maybe near to perfection in language skills, but when it comes to directed writing in O-levels, there is actually equal portion for language skills as well as the justification of the bullet points. So keep in mind that you need to be keep yourself a balanced things. 10th, perhaps the most important thing again, thank you audience. Do not forget to thank your audience while conducting your speech. At this stage, you should also sum up your point of stress and purpose of making a speech. Also, remind your audience again to support you and your point of view at this point. And this would also indicate to the examiner that you know in a perfect way what your purpose of making this speech was. The last part or the last screen of this lecture is another mnemonic. The following acronym might help you remember some of the points we have studied and discussed that might help you score highly in your English exams. So there is a word perfect, PERFECT. P means personal anecdotes to bring your speech to life, give examples about your life from someone else's lives, so that just to convince your readers, to convince your listeners that how can you win support from them. E, emotive language to persuade your audience. R, rhetorical questions to make your audience listen. F, use figurative language, flowery language such as metaphors, similes and emphasis through repetition and the rule of 3. C is comparison and contrast to make your points clear. For example, if you are making a speech to win their hearts over the voting in elections, you can compare yourself or your friends with your competitors. And the last letter is T, the tone of the voice that is relevant and persuasive for your specific audience. I hope you will find this speech writing lecture useful, and if yes, I would like to request you all to like, subscribe and share this video so that it will help all other students who've been looking for and need some help regarding speech writing. Thank you very much.